Welcome to the Master of the NEC podcast, the ultimate destination for anyone passionate about the electrical trade. Whether you're a seasoned electrician, an eager apprentice, or just someone who wants to dive deep into the world of electrical work, you've come to the right place. Join your host, Paul Abernathy, a true authority in the industry with over 38 years of trade experience, as he electrifies your mind with in-depth discussions, expert tips, and valuable insights that will keep you ahead of the curve. Each episode, Paul will illuminate the complexities of the trade, decode the National Electrical Code, and share the latest industry trends, all while empowering you to take your electrical career to the next level. So, gear up, plug in, and get ready to supercharge your knowledge, because with the Master of the NEC podcast, the power is in your hands. Now get ready. Here is your host, Paul Abernathy.
Hello, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Master of the NEC, the podcast where we talk about all things electrical, code. It doesn't matter. We talk about all types of things. And thanks for taking the time out of your day to join me for this podcast. I think at this point we have it's well over 1,000 episodes on any of your social platforms you want to go to and listen to. But for podcasts specifically, most people listen on Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere it's your favorite podcast platform. Just search for Master the NEC podcast and you'll find it. And then you just scroll through it. A lot of them have descriptions, and then there's a lot that don't, which would just back when we did just a collection, I would talk about just about anything when it comes to code. So it's worth listening to them. You never know what little nugget you may pick up during one of the episodes. You never know. Hey, on today's episode, we're going to talk about some breaking news, some exciting news for us here at Electrical Code Academy. And it might be exciting for some of you out there. Some of you may not care, and that's okay too. But there's quite a few of you that will care because we're always trying to educate the next generation. And we always struggle with, how do you get to that generation? Is it social media only? Is it publication? Is it books? Do they read anymore? All those type of things. So we're excited to create a partnership and bartering agreement with EC&M Magazine. Okay? Yes. Absolutely. So if you're not familiar with EC&M Magazine, they are a leading trade publication for the electrical industry, whether you're an inspector, electrician, AHJ, engineer. You love getting that magazine, and it's in electronic form, and of course it still comes out in the printed form. And they do videos, and they share a lot of things on the different social media platforms, videos, podcasts, and they have some great educators that work with them. And Mike Holt has worked with them for literally decades. And so we're excited to announce that I will be an NEC consultant and author for a column that will be bi-monthly? Every other month, six episodes a year or 6 articles a year. And we may expand that to more if they like it or they need me in other areas. But we're going to be doing every other month a article that is between 1,000 to 1,500 word article on electrical inspections, electrical inspectors, electricians, the interaction, and how to work with each other. We'll look at code, when there can be a disagreement, and then how you can, kind of take a negative and turn it around and try to make it a positive. We're both trying to achieve something. And so, again, there's so much hate out there for the electrical inspectors and vice versa for some electricians. And, everybody's just trying to get a job done, but there are critical things that can cause it to break down in the communication process. So we're going to cover all of that through these 6 episodes for the year. And if it's popular and you let them know you enjoy it, we'll branch it out maybe into something else and add a little more and get more detail and that type of thing. But that's not all we're going to do. Okay, so that would be, that would be in itself quite a bit. But that is not all we're going to do for EC&M. We're going to be doing 12 videos a year, one a month on code questions and answer. So we'll talk about different code questions and answer. Now, this is different from the inspection thing because inspection things we have to be careful because there's so many jurisdictions that are on 2020, 2023, 2026. And I don't think there's any on that yet. So we got to kind of write that so it kind of bridges that divide. Whereas the videos that I'll do for them are going to be basically like the Let's Ask Paul. Whereas we're going to take very common questions. Of course, you can submit questions to me at Let's Ask Paul, and they might make it on the EC&M's video that I do for them. Okay, it doesn't matter where the topics come from. People send it to them, they send them to me, and we'll be doing those. But we're going to be doing one a month, so that it's going to be shared on their social and obviously on the website and that type of thing. So we'll have the article every other month in the publication. Of course, it'll be online as well, but mainly, focusing on the publication part, the book, the magazine. And then, of course, the video we'll produce that here in my studio. They're really used to doing it through Zoom with other people like that. But to me, I think it'll bring new flavor and add more flair in order to make it more produced out of our studio here, where the audio is controlled and everything. So we're excited about that. We're building that right now, the background and what we want to use for that. So that's that component that we'll do. And then there's one more component. We're going to do 12 podcasts a year for them, where it's, podcasts where they'll ask me common questions. And then a lot of this stuff will be, probably the podcast will be tied in to the inspection thing, because again, that's the big element where they're kind of missing that in EC&M, right? It's very electrician centric, AHJ, design professional, but there are so many inspectors out there around the country who just really don't have that edge that they need. And what we can do is take the leading publication and try to bridge that gap between the inspection industry and the electricians and engineers and design professionals. So that's kind of something that was missing. So when we sat down and we're looking at that and how we could bring something like that to the table, I think everybody got excited because my background is obviously as an electrician for nearly 40 years, but I've also been, again, this is not a toot, right? I'll get so much hate for that when I have to say something about my background and they go like, there's Paul bragging again, So it is nothing to do with that. And if anybody that knows me knows that, but if you don't, okay, take it however you want. But so my background is not only as an electrician, and really putting in a lot of heavy hours, 60 and 70 and 80-hour weeks back when me and my brother were building AA Electric, to finally going into electrical service specialist, which was my company, and doing my own thing and building that corporation before we ultimately sold it. And I moved to Texas, where I started Abernathy Electrical Services. And then I had the work doing there. All that time I'm doing consulting. But in the meantime, between that growth of electrical contracting, I was also the head electrical inspector for the city of Richmond. Then I moved up into the supervisor. Then I moved up into the engineer 2 position, where I was overseeing plan review and the electrical inspectors for the city of Richmond, Virginia, which is the capital. Incidentally, Richmond, I moved back to Virginia now, so Richmond's only about 60 miles from me. And some of my friends are still down there in the Richmond area. And I don't think any of them work for the city anymore. I think everybody's probably retired by then, because that has been, probably close to 16 or 17 years ago. Most people have retired probably. But then I moved to Northern Virginia to work with a group at the city of Alexandria. So I worked with the city and I oversaw the electrical inspections and fire alarm installations and testing and all that stuff. So I moved kind of around a little bit. So I've got the flavor of an inspector, flavor of design professional, the flavor of supervising these relationships between electricians and inspectors, right? And then I ended up at NEMA, where I worked there for a couple of years, and then I got to see the other side of the fence. I got to work closely with manufacturers all over the country, solving issues, being involved in that, being called in when there was a conflict between AHJ, a design professional, manufacturers, and truly understanding the difference between what's in the code versus what a manufacturer says, and then how an AHJ or an inspector working for the AHJ, how everybody looks at these things differently. And it is amazing, really. If you only come to it from one side of the fence, like if you're just an electrician and you don't understand where the inspector may be coming from, you just hate on him or her, whatever. And then where the manufacturer plays a role in this type of thing. So I have been blessed enough and well-rounded enough that I have got to be able to dip my toe in every facet of this industry, from the installation to the service to the manufacturing to liaison between manufacturers and inspectors and electricians and design professionals, to ultimately end up with a manufacturer, which is the world's largest manufacturer of wire and cable, Prismium. I'm still with them, okay? And I'm the director of technical services for them. Amazing company, doing amazing things. Originally with Encore Wire, and they got acquired by Prismium. And then Prismium is just huge. If you've never worked with anybody from Prismium, and this is a great bunch of people, really an amazing company, home based in Milan, Italy, but kind of maneuvering the new North American home office to be in McKinney, Texas, where Encore was. So they're an amazing group of people. I'm so blessed to be working with them and answering issues that they have and interacting with them. But it gave me the perspective to understand how manufacturers work. I have 11 patents with Encore Wire and now Prismium on MC cable, hybrid cable, like an SC cable, tray cable hybrid. And I had an intricate role in a lot of the testing on the newer square profile MCs that people call, some manufacturers call it Easy Glide and things like that. But with the Encore Wire version of that, I've got to work intimately with that. We're in the lab where I actually strapped on the tool belts and did a lot of pull testing and testing, bidirectional functionality that is really revolutionary. Even the other flat profiles really can't do bidirectional very well. And it's always going to pull MC cable. It's always going to pull better in one direction. But now it's the ability to pull it in either direction is there with the Encore Wires version. So, or I guess Prismium version. So again, through this evolution, I've had the ability to touch a little bit of all of that. So again, small world, and I've done a little bit of everything. I've been blessed to work with Mike Holt. I've been blessed to be his top gun. So when it came about for the opportunity to write for EC&M Magazine, I will tell you right up front, this would not have happened without Mike Holt. Okay, so all of you out there who always thought me and Mike had arguments and all, and we jab back and forth and joke, but when we're together, Mario and Brian that work for him, they're all just wonderful people. We get along very well. I wish them always success. In fact, if I don't have a product that I can offer, I'm always pushing Mike's because it's great stuff. I used it back in the day. And so, it's one of those things where, you definitely want to know who Mike is in the industry, and you have to respect everything that Mike's done. An amazing man, and and he's been instrumental for me through the years as well. And and so he kind of started this ball rolling with EC&M, and of course, in true professional fashion, Mike lets EC&M decide. And so they see a sample of my writing and decide whether or not I'm going to be a good fit for them. Because, EC&M Magazine is an amazing publication. The two leaders in that space are EC&M and Electrical Contractor. And to me, the more professional, and then I don't mean this as a slap in Electrical Contractor Magazine. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the EC&M slants more towards electrical engineering, trained professional, that type of thing, versus Electrical Contractor Magazine, which is great magazine, but to have the opportunity to write for EC&M, to me, was kind of one of those things that just comes full circle for me. I've written articles and blogs and written books for years and co-authored books and collaborated with other people to create things and through the years. But to be able to put together an article of my own for a leading publication that is dedicated to the industry is an amazing thing. And the other important thing to me, I guess at the end of the day, is that something was lacking in this industry when it came to the publications, right? Now you have IAEI, which is going through their own growing and retraction stages of their organization. But that was very specific to electrical inspector. It didn't really, it was one-sided towards inspector. Okay. And then you have EC&M and Electrical Contract News, and they're very much focused on the electrical contractor. And then, of course, EC&M is focused on the engineer and electrical contractor and design professionals. So you had this hole that was really missing. And when I got to, and you've heard me talk about this on the podcast and in videos forever, the problem was there's not really good communication between how the electrician feels, how the inspector feels, how the AHJ feels, and how the manufacturer feels, especially when it comes to interpretations or application and installation of the National Electrical Code. And there's that gap that was missing. And there really wasn't anything out there that's going to try to tie them all together so that you can have an electrician that sees things from the inspector's point of view, like it, hate it, disagree with it, whatever, their point of view, while also having the electrician look at the inspector's point of view. And then having a manufacturer's view of how their products can be utilized in the field and how it has to be looked at from an inspection aspect or from an installation aspect. So there was really nothing out there that tied all this together. And so EC&M Magazine knew this, and we talked about it. And there's a lady that, there's a lady that works with EC&M Magazine that I've been so blessed to work with. Her name is Ellen. She is a sweetheart. Let me tell you what, she is on the ball. And then she works with a Mike Eby. Mike Eby is an amazing guy. I Zoom called with them, amazing people. And always, knew who they were, getting the publication. I'm always one of those guys that looks at the names of the publishers, people that are on it, people that do the editing and all that kind of stuff. Just kind of what I do, just to look and to be able to work with them. And I'm excited to be able to work with them. But more importantly, I'm excited that we can now create something that is designed to bridge the gap, that is going to give the full 360 view of not only the installation from the electrician's position, from the inspector's position, from an AHJ, which is not always the case with an inspector. They're not always the AHJ. They may be acting as the AHJ or as a deputy to the AHJ, but there's ultimately, most cases, not all cases, but most cases, there's somebody above them which has to take responsibility overall. They may answer to the city manager. They may answer to the mayor. They may answer to the community at large. but there's always somebody. And so creating that bridge got me intrigued. It intrigued the way I write. Now, most people know how I write. It's very code specific. So this is going to be a challenge for me. And you know I like challenges. When I write something, this is why I love podcasts. Because podcasts, they allow you to elaborate on stuff and try to paint a mental picture. And so I thought, we're going to do this with an article. And, and I had somebody tell me, they got, Paul, you're going to do it every other month? That's going to kind of leave us in a cliffhanger every month. At the end of the month, I got to wait a whole nother month. And I'm like, I know, right? But that's how we're going to do it. And we're going to tackle all those things. Now, the very first article I will tell you that we're going to come out with is going to set the tone for the rest of the series. In other words, we're going to start out making sure that the inspector and the electrician understand what is expected of them when you call them out for an inspection. Okay? That's got to set the tone. Now, as we move into the series of the articles, we'll touch on codes and interpretations and NEC and give some lessons on that type of thing and use it from the inspector's perspective as well as the electrician's perspective in a way that they could look at the same code and come up with two different interpretations and how we have to come together for the right interpretation. Now, some of you say, well, Paul, what makes you think that yours is the right interpretation? Well, as I've always done, I base my interpretations on research. I base my interpretations on feedback and looking and doing my own research and seeing that my responses are, while they are my opinions, they are still well-founded in the NEC, that they're following a true structural component of compliance. And we're going to do that. And we're going to do that in every one of the episodes. So we're going to give you a little bit of everything because the inspection one is geared towards bridging that gap. But then, of course, we're going to have the video series, which is going to be answering code questions. And then, of course, the podcast is going to be answering other questions that people may have with inspections and electricians and the code compliance and changes to the code and all kinds of good stuff. You just don't know where we're going to go. And so, and a beautiful thing is EC&M Magazine is pretty much, once they set a structure, they're like, look, we really don't, we're not going to get in your stuff. In other words, you know what the industry needs. You just do it. And so for me, my goal is to make it the best it can be for them. And that means the videos have to be top-notch, good audio, clear background, clear descriptions, clear questions on the screen so that people understand it. Just everything clear. And so that it is something that we can all be proud of and we can all learn from and we can all share. And of course, that's going to also fall over into Electrical Code Academy because we'll be creating a lot of content around the different topics as well to share on Fast Tracks Tube and all that type of stuff. Now, some of you may be thinking that, Paul's doing this. He's going to get paid to do it. That is not what we're doing. I am not taking a dime from EC&M Magazine. It's not about the money for me. Okay, it wasn't. But we had to, in a traditional barter agreement. I've already got a job. I work very hard at what I do. It's not about the money. Okay, so in order to come to an agreement, we came to a barter agreement. And the barter agreement's going to give me some advertising space in EC&M Magazine, which is, again, it has a value to it. Absolutely. A publication is what it is. Definitely has value to it. So we're going to be promoting Trade Hog, Study Hog, Fast Tracks Tube. We're going to be promoting all of that in the magazine. We're not going to so much promote our courses because we already do extremely well with that, we think that from at my point in my career, I'm more focused on making sure people make correct choices. We do a lot of exam prep. I mean, a lot. But there's more than that. There's making sure that when the electricians are out in the field, they're using something to assist them to make sure they're getting it right the first time. That's why we created TradeHog. Now, there are people that have copied it. Didn't take long. Usually when there's a good idea, people copy it. The first one to copy it was NFPA. They copied it with their own AI model. But I'm telling you, reports are it's not nearly as good as our TradeHog. And so we're excited about that. Also, we're going to have a pricing structure change where we're going to, lower the price and kind of turn everything in TradeHog into a one price, low cost model. Now, I'm going to do this. Everybody that's in premium are going to get some extra goodies. Even if the price drops, they're still going to get some good goodies. We're going to make sure we take care of those people and get them, everybody switched over to the new accounts eventually. But it's going to be one price, and it's going to be something that I think that everybody can utilize and have that tool in their pocket. So we're going to create a amazing. We have an app already, but we're going to create an amazing app. We're going to merge the stuff that's in our current app so that we can give you all the tools, the calculators, and everything that we can give you in the new app. And it's going to be available to everybody rather than just premium. Now, currently right now on TradeHog, the premium, they get more searches. You get to do more searches, more per hour, and those are for heavy users. And you also get access to Office Hog as well, which is great. I'm telling you right now, tax season that we just had, I'm going to tell you right now, if I did not have Office Hog, it would, when I turn stuff into my CPA and stuff that we do, I would have screwed that up. And I've been doing this. I've been in business for all my life. I've owned companies from all the way back at 19 years old with me and my brother. So look, I use Office Hog more than I use anything else. And I have ChatGTP, I have Grok, I have other AI models that we use because we do a lot of things to create stuff, 3D modeling, images, and things like that. But I use Office Hog because I designed the prompt. I know exactly what it's going to bring me. And so every time when I started getting my stuff ready for taxes this year, dude, I was all over Office Hog, okay? All over it. And, it gave me the answers that I needed to make sure I got the right information to the right people. And so that's a perk for being in the premium. But we're going to retool all that because we think it is the best model for AI. There's a lot of them out there, but they're not electrically specific. But here's the thing. TradeHog is not just for electricians. It's been designed to work good for plumbers, mechanical, building guys, electrical inspectors, AHJs, engineers, design professionals. That's what it was designed for. So anyway, not on a commercial, but we're going to be tailoring most of the advertising towards that, not so much our courses. So it's, because I'm not, most people know me. People that come to me for our programs, they come to us because they trust our courses. They trust my education and teaching. We've been doing it a long time. But they're still there. I think the biggest thing for me is trying to get a tool in people's hands that can truly help them. And that's what I think that TradeHog does. Now, if you're studying for an exam out there, no matter who you're using, it doesn't matter. StudyHog by far is the greatest tool. In fact, over on our forum that we have over at necchat.com, if you want to go there, shameless plug, necchat.com. Join the conversations over there. You never know what'll get posted over there. Josh is over there. Josh is very aggressive studier. He studies all the time. And, impressive young man. He's going to go places because he's in it. he gets it. He understands it. And he really wants to learn. And that's a hunger that, once you get that, that's the hunger I had when I started in this industry. Once you have that, it's contagious. And he posts questions of the day or questions of the week over there. So it's a really great forum to go to. But but the fact of the matter is, we're trying to create stuff that we know people can learn from. And different things like that. That's what we try to create here. And so it's not just about selling courses. Okay. There's a segment of the industry out there that need a trusted tool in their pocket. And that's what Trade Hog's all about. I use it almost every day, and people are satisfied with it. But we're going to retool all that right before it announced for the launch in the magazine, because it'll be in the magazine. And we want to make it affordable for people. We will leave it, month to month, feature option. But at the end of the day, you're going to get a better deal if you purchase the annual subscription to it. Okay, that's your choice. We're not going to push that down anybody, but we will give you a good discount if you do it annually. Okay, you'll pay a little more if you do it per month, but it's typically how that model works. But anyway, just wanted to come on and do a podcast for you. Didn't want it to be a sales pitch. I'm just trying to do a little podcast to explain what all we got going on here. So when is it going to come out? Well, we're looking at about July. Should be the first episode, or not first episode, the first article. It's already been written. I was a little long-winded when I wrote it. Only needed to be about 1,000 to 1,500 words. I think I wrote 2,500 words. So I got to kind of edit it down a little bit. And I'll start on the next version to make sure it's done, because I usually go over things a couple times, it's going to be quite an interesting adventure, but hopefully people will learn from it. And they'll ask questions, and it'll be a good bridge, and maybe bring some of the inspection industry into EC&M Magazine, bring them in, and let them join in, and we can all learn together. And so that everybody's on the same page type of thing. Okay. Makes sense. All right, folks, that was just a brief one, about a 30-minute podcast. I just wanted to make sure we went over those type of things. And if you have any questions, you know what you can do. You can always go to our website. And on our website, you can click on the homepage and then go and do the Let's Ask Paul and ask us any question you want on just about anything you want. And we're more than happy to answer any questions on anything that you may have necessary to help you become better at what you do. Okay, if you're interested in our courses, check out fasttracksystem.com. And also look for a new website coming soon to theelectricalguru.com. Okay, so that's something that's in the works right now. We've had Electrical Guru domain for years. I let it go. I took a bunch of crap heat back 20 years ago from the Mike Holt forum. Mike's not on there. He's got his minions on there, but Mike he doesn't really go on that forum. But there's a couple okay people on that forum, but for the most part, they believe they're holier than thou. And it's the same group. And anytime anybody else is mentioned, or especially my name is mentioned, they jump all over it like I'm, and I'm like, well, just goes to show you, those type of people will do those type of things, and it's okay. I don't care. They stay lurking on that. I don't go on that forum. So, but they'll do their thing. Okay. So, all right, folks, that's it. Didn't want to take all your time up. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Have a great Memorial Week coming up. And again, thanks for listening. Until next time, stay safe. God bless. We'll catch you on another episode of Master the NEC Podcast. Peace out.
Thanks for tuning into another electrifying episode of the Master the NEC Podcast. We hope you're feeling more powered up and ready to tackle the electrical world with the knowledge and confidence you need to succeed. Remember, in the electrical trade, knowledge is power, and we're here to make sure you stay plugged into the latest insights, tips, and code updates. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with your fellow electricians and industry pros. Until next time, keep your tools sharp, your circuits clear, and your mind focused, because here at the Master the NEC podcast, we're all about sparking your success. Stay safe, stay smart, and keep mastering the trade. From all of us here at Electrical Code Academy, thank you for all your support, and we will see you on the next amazing Master the NEC podcast episode.